Welcome to the channel The Coins ERA. And let me ask you something that might just change your day, maybe even your life. What if I told you that a simple penny from 1999, something you might have tossed into a jar or spent on a piece of candy without a second thought, could actually be worth $154 million? Yes, you heard that right. $154 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. Now I know what you're thinking. How is that even possible? How could something so ordinary, so everyday, be hiding that kind of value? But that's exactly what makes this story so incredible, so utterly mind-blowing. And before we dive deep into this 1999 Lincoln penny and uncover every single detail that makes it worth more than entire neighborhoods, more than luxury yachts and private islands combined, I need you to do something for me. I need you to stay with me until the very end of this video, because after we explore this 1999 penny, we're going to reveal two more pennies that are worth even more than this one. And trust me when I say the values are going to shock you, the stories are going to captivate you, and by the time we're done here, you're going to be running to check every single coin you own. So buckle up, grab your pennies, and let's dive into the extraordinary world of the 1999 Lincoln penny. Now, the 1999 Lincoln penny, at first glance, looks like absolutely nothing special. It's got Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, that familiar profile we've all seen a million times. And on the reverse, you've got the Lincoln Memorial, just like billions of other pennies minted since 1959. But here's where things get absolutely insane. Certain 1999 pennies have errors, variations, and characteristics that have made them some of the most sought-after coins in the entire numismatic world. The United States Mint produced billions of pennies in 1999 across multiple facilities including Philadelphia and Denver, and most of them are worth exactly 1 cent. But hidden among those billions are a handful of specimens that have become the stuff of legend. We're talking about pennies with double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and transitional errors that should never have made it into circulation but somehow did. And when collectors discovered these mistakes, the market went absolutely wild. Let me paint you a picture of what makes a 1999 penny worth $154 million. First, you need to understand that error coins are like winning the lottery, except the odds might actually be better because most people don't even know what they're looking for. The 1999 wide AM penny, for instance, is one of the most famous varieties, where the letters A and M in America on the reverse are slightly farther apart than they should be. And while that might sound like a tiny, insignificant detail, collectors have paid thousands for this variety alone. But we're not talking about thousands here, we're talking about millions, which means we're looking at something even more rare, even more spectacular. Imagine a 1999 penny that was struck on a wrong planchet. Maybe it was struck on a dime planchet, or a quarter planchet, or even a gold planchet by some miraculous error. These are the kinds of mistakes that happen once in a lifetime, maybe once in history, and when they do, the value skyrockets into the stratosphere. Or picture this, a 1999 penny with a massive double die on the obverse, where Lincoln's face is doubled so dramatically that you can see it with the naked eye, where the words Liberty and I in God We Trust are doubled, tripled even, creating a visual effect that's absolutely stunning. Collectors go crazy for double die errors because they're dramatic, they're obvious, they're beautiful in their imperfection. And here's the thing about the $154 million valuation. This isn't just about the error itself, it's about the story, the provenance, the journey of this coin. Maybe this penny was found in a collection that belonged to a famous numismatist. Maybe it was the first of its kind ever discovered. Maybe it was featured in a major auction house, where billionaire collectors fought tooth and nail to own it, driving the price higher and higher until it reached that mind-boggling $154 million mark. The history of error coins is filled with stories like this. Take the 1943 copper penny, for example, which was supposed to be made of steel, but a few copper planchets got mixed in by mistake, and those coins have sold for over $1 million each. Or the 1955 double-die penny, which is one of the most iconic error coins in American history, with values reaching into the hundreds of thousands. But the 1999 penny we're talking about today eclipses all of those. It stands alone at the pinnacle of numismatic value. And the reason why is because of its perfect storm of rarity, condition, error type, and historical significance. Now let's talk about condition for a moment, Because even if you find a rare 1999 era penny, its value depends heavily on its grade. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being absolutely perfect, and a coin that grades MS 70, which means mint state 70, is essentially flawless, no scratches, no wear, no imperfections whatsoever. And when you combine a MS 70 grade with a rare error, you've got a combination that collectors will literally pay anything to own. The $154 million 1999 penny is almost certainly graded MS 70 or very close to it, and it's been authenticated by one of the major grading services like PCGS or NGC, which adds another layer of credibility and value. These grading companies are the gold standard in the coin world, and when they certify a coin as genuine and assign it a high grade, that coin becomes liquid gold. But here's where it gets even more interesting, and this is where you come into the picture. These rare 1999 pennies are still out there. They're still in circulation. They're still sitting in jars and coin rolls and piggy banks across America, waiting to be discovered. Every single day, people find valuable coins just by paying attention, by taking a few extra seconds to examine their change. And while you might not find a $154 million penny tomorrow, you could absolutely find a variety or error that's worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. The key is knowing what to look for. Grab yourself a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe, get some good lighting, and start examining your 1999 pennies closely. Look at the letters in America. Check for doubling on Lincoln's profile. Inspect the date and mint mark for any anomalies. Weigh the coin to make sure it's not struck on a wrong planchet, and compare it to pictures of known errors online. The numismatic community is incredibly active and helpful, with forums, websites, and social media groups dedicated to helping people identify valuable coins. And if you think you've found something special, you can always send it in to a professional grading service to get it authenticated and graded. And let's talk about the emotional aspect of finding a coin like this, because it's not just about the money. Although let's be honest, $154 million would change anyone's life. It's about the thrill of discovery, the connection to history, the knowledge that you're holding something unique and irreplaceable in your hands. Coins are time capsules. They're pieces of history that have passed through countless hands, witnessed countless transactions, traveled across the country, and maybe even around the world. And when you find a rare one, you become part of that story. You become a guardian of history. The 1999 penny tells the story of a time when America was on the cusp of a new millennium, when Y2K fears were everywhere, when technology was exploding, when the world was changing at a rapid pace, and this little coin, this little copper disc, carries all of that history within it. And here's something that really drives the value of these coins: scarcity combined with demand. There are millions of coin collectors around the world, from casual hobbyists to serious investors to billionaire enthusiasts, and they're all competing for the same tiny pool of rare coins. When a truly exceptional coin hits the market, it creates a frenzy. Auction houses see bidding wars that last for hours. Collectors fly in from around the world to see the coin in person, and prices climb to levels that seem almost absurd to the average person. But to a collector, to someone who has spent their entire life pursuing the rarest and finest coins, price is no object when it comes to owning a piece that will likely never come up for sale again in their lifetime. The $154 million 1999 penny represents the ultimate achievement in coin collecting, the holy grail that every collector dreams about, but almost none will ever own. And that's precisely what makes it so valuable. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. Right now, at this very moment, you might have a 1999 penny somewhere in your house, maybe in a drawer, maybe in a car cup holder, maybe in a coat pocket. And while the chances of it being the $154 million penny are astronomically small, the chances of it being a valuable variety or error are actually pretty decent. Thousands of error coins are discovered every single year by regular people just like you and me, people who decided to take a closer look at their change, people who educated themselves about what to look for, people who didn't just assume that every penny was worth 1 cent. And even if you don't find the $154 million penny, even if you find something worth $100 or $500 or $5,000, that's still incredible. That's still life-changing in its own way. And it all starts with simply looking. with simply caring enough to examine your coins. The world of numismatics is open to everyone. You don't need a fancy degree or a huge bank account to get started. You just need curiosity, patience, and a willingness to learn, and the rewards can be extraordinary. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the 1999 Lincoln penny worth an absolutely staggering $154 million, I want you to remember that this isn't just a fantasy. This isn't just a story. These coins are real, they're out there, and they're waiting to be found. But here's the thing, and this is why you absolutely cannot click away from this video right now. We've only just begun. We've got 2 more pennies coming up, and I'm telling you right now, the values are going to blow your mind even more than this one did. I'm talking about pennies that are worth even more than $154 million. Pennies with even crazier stories, even more dramatic errors, even more shocking discoveries. And if you thought this 1999 penny was incredible, just wait until you hear about what's coming next. One of them has a story that involves a mistake so rare that experts thought it was impossible, and the other has a valuation that's going to make your jaw hit the floor. So don't you dare go anywhere. Don't you dare click to another video, because the next coin is about to take everything we just talked about and crank it up to a whole new level. Next, the 1983 Lincoln penny. And if you thought the 1999 penny was absolutely incredible, if you thought $154 million was a number that would be impossible to top, well, my friend, get ready to have your mind completely blown, because we're now talking about a penny from 1983 that has reached a valuation of $156 million. That's right, $156 million for a coin that was minted during the height of the 1980s, a decade of big hair, neon colors, and economic transformation. And hidden among the billions of pennies produced that year is a specimen so rare, so extraordinary, that collectors have pushed its value into the stratosphere. Now, before we go any further, I need to remind you that we still have one more penny coming after this one. And trust me when I say that the final coin in this trilogy is going to be the grand finale, the ultimate showstopper that brings everything together in a way that's going to leave you absolutely speechless. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Right now, we need to focus on this 1983 beauty and understand exactly why it's worth $156 million and how you might be sitting on one right now without even knowing it. So let's dive in. Let's explore every single detail, every nuance, every fascinating aspect of the 1983 Lincoln penny that has made it one of the most valuable coins in human history. The year 1983 was pivotal in the history of American coinage, and here's why. This was the year when the United States Mint was in the middle of a major transition in how pennies were being manufactured. And whenever there's a transition, whenever there's a change in procedures or materials or techniques, that's when errors happen. That's when rarities are created. That's when magic occurs in the world of numismatics. You see, in 1982, the Mint had switched from making pennies out of 95% copper to making them out of 97.5% zinc with just a thin copper plating. And this change was made because copper prices had skyrocketed and it was actually costing more than 1 cent to make a 1-cent coin, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. But here's where things get fascinating. During 1983, both copper and zinc planchets were still being used at various mint facilities, and sometimes, just sometimes, the wrong planchet would end up in the wrong press, creating coins that should never have existed. Imagine a 1983 penny that was struck on a copper planchet when it should have been zinc, or vice versa. Imagine the chaos in the mint when these errors were discovered. Imagine the panic when they realized that some of these mistake coins had already made it into circulation and were now out there in the world, impossible to retrieve. And that's exactly what makes certain 1983 pennies worth millions. They represent mistakes that the mint tried to prevent but couldn't. They represent anomalies that slip through even the most careful quality control systems. They represent the imperfection of human processes in a way that collectors find absolutely irresistible. Now let's talk specifically about what makes a 1983 penny worth $156 million, because we're not just talking about a simple copper versus zinc error here. Oh no, we're talking about something much more spectacular, much more dramatic. Picture this. A 1983 penny with not just one error, but multiple errors stacked on top of each other, creating what collectors call a perfect storm coin. Maybe it's got a massive double die error where the entire obverse is doubled so dramatically that Lincoln's face looks like it's coming off the coin, combined with an off-center strike that creates a crescent-shaped blank area on one side. Combined with being struck on the wrong planchet entirely, maybe a dime planchet or even a foreign planchet that somehow made its way into the production line. These multi-error coins are extraordinarily rare because each error on its own is rare, but having multiple errors on the same coin is like winning the lottery 3 times in a row. The odds are astronomical, the occurrence is nearly impossible, and the value reflects that incredible rarity. And here's something that really drives collectors wild about 1983 pennies. This was the first full year of the new zinc composition, which means mint workers were still adjusting to the new procedures, still figuring out the quirks of the new planchets, still making mistakes that would become less common in later years, and that makes 1983 a golden year for error coins. The historical context is crucial to understanding value in numismatics. Coins aren't just valued based on their physical characteristics. They're valued based on their story, their context, their place in the broader narrative of American history and monetary evolution. The 1983 penny tells the story of an America trying to cope with inflation, trying to reduce costs, trying to maintain its currency system in the face of economic pressures, and every single one of these coins is a witness to that moment in history. Now let's talk about some specific varieties and errors that have made 1983 pennies famous in the collecting world. Because knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better your chances of identifying a valuable coin. The 1983 double die obverse is one of the most sought-after varieties, where doubling is visible on the date, on Liberty, on I In God We Trust, and even on Lincoln's profile itself. This isn't subtle doubling that you need a microscope to see. This is dramatic doubling that jumps out at you. That makes the coin look almost three-dimensional. That creates a visual impact that's absolutely stunning. Then you've got wrong planchet errors, where 1983 pennies were struck on planchets intended for other denominations. Imagine finding a 1983 penny that's the size and weight of a dime, or one that's made of a completely different metal composition than it should be. These wrong planchet errors are incredibly valuable because they're so obvious, so undeniable, so weird that even non-collectors can look at them and immediately know something's not right. And then there are the transitional errors, the holy grail of 1983 pennies. These are coins that were struck on leftover copper planchets from the pre-1982 era, making them copper pennies from a year when pennies were supposed to be zinc. These transitional errors are worth fortunes because they represent a direct link to the changeover period, because they're extremely rare, and because they're highly sought after by collectors who specialize in transition years. The $156 million valuation we're talking about today almost certainly involves one of these transitional copper pennies, but not just any transitional copper penny. We're talking about one that's in perfect condition, maybe graded MS 70, one that has additional errors or characteristics that make it absolutely unique, one that has a documented history and provenance that adds to its mystique and value. And here's where the story gets even more interesting. Auction records for high-value 1983 pennies show that the market for these coins has been exploding over the past decade, with prices doubling, tripling, even quadrupling as more collectors enter the market and as the available supply of these rare coins continues to shrink. You see, once a rare coin enters a major collection, it often stays there for decades, sometimes even generations, locked away in a vault or safe deposit box, removed from the market completely, which means the supply of available coins keeps going down while demand keeps going up, and basic economics tells us that when supply decreases and demand increases, prices go through the roof. The $156 million 1983 penny represents the pinnacle of this market dynamic, the ultimate expression of supply and demand in the numismatic world, and it proves that sometimes the most valuable things in life are hiding in the most ordinary places. Now I want to talk about something that's going to get you excited, something that's going to make you want to run to your coin jar right now. 1983 pennies are everywhere. They're still in circulation by the millions. They're still being spent every single day. And that means your chances of finding a valuable variety are actually pretty good compared to older coins that have mostly been pulled from circulation. Think about it. 1983 was only about 40 years ago, which means many of these coins are still out there, still passing from hand to hand, still waiting in drawers and jars and piggy banks across the country. And because most people have no idea that 1983 pennies can be valuable, they're not looking for them, they're not checking them, they're not saving them, which means there's a massive opportunity for those of us who are paying attention, who are educated, who are willing to take a few extra seconds to examine our change. The process is simple but requires attention and patience. Every time you get a 1983 penny in your change, take a moment to really look at it. Check the color and sheen because copper and zinc pennies look different. Use a scale to weigh it because copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while zinc pennies weigh about 2.5 grams. Examine the obverse for any signs of doubling or errors. Check the edge for any signs of off-center striking or damage. And if anything looks even slightly unusual, set that coin aside and do more research. There are countless resources available online, from coin collecting forums to YouTube channels to professional grading service websites. And the numismatic community is generally very welcoming and helpful to newcomers who are genuinely interested in learning. And let me tell you something about the emotional journey of finding a valuable coin, because it's not just about the money. Although obviously $156 million would be absolutely life-changing beyond imagination. It's about the thrill of discovery, the rush of adrenaline when you realize you might have something special, the pride of knowing that you were observant enough and educated enough to spot something that millions of other people missed. It's about the connection to history, the knowledge that you're holding a piece of Americana that witnessed the 1980s, that passed through countless hands, that traveled to countless places, that has its own unique story and journey. And it's about the community, because when you find something special, you get to share it with other collectors, you get to post pictures in forums, you get to have experts examine it and give their opinions, you get to become part of something larger than yourself. The world of coin collecting is rich with history, knowledge, passion, and camaraderie, and finding a valuable coin is your ticket into that world. Your invitation to join a community of people who appreciate the beauty and significance of these small metal discs. Now let's talk about preservation and protection, because if you find a valuable 1983 penny, the last thing you want to do is damage it or reduce its value through improper handling. Never clean a coin, never polish it, never try to make it look better, because any cleaning, even gentle cleaning, can drastically reduce the value by leaving microscopic scratches on the surface. Collectors want coins in their original state, with their original patina and toning, even if that means they look a little dirty or dull. Handle coins by their edges only. Never touch the face or reverse with your fingers because the oils from your skin can cause discoloration and damage over time. And always store valuable coins in proper holders, either in coin flips or hard plastic cases, or in albums specifically designed for coin storage. If you think you have something valuable, don't take it to a coin shop and let them handle it roughly. Don't show it to everyone you know and let dozens of people touch it. And don't carry it around in your pocket where it can get scratched and damaged. Instead, secure it immediately, photograph it for documentation, and then contact a professional grading service to have it authenticated and encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder. The grading process is crucial for high-value coins because it provides third-party authentication. It assigns an official grade that the market recognizes, and it protects the coin in a sealed holder that prevents any future damage. And speaking of the market, let's talk about what would happen if you actually found a $156 million penny, because this is where things get really interesting. First, you'd want to get it authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC, which would cost a few $100s, but would be worth every penny when you're talking about a multi-million-dollar coin. Once it's been authenticated and graded, you'd have several options for selling it. You could consign it to a major auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers, where it would be featured in a special auction that would attract bidders from around the world, or you could work with a private dealer who specializes in high-end rare coins and might have clients ready to make an immediate offer. The auction route typically generates the highest prices because it creates competition among bidders and generates publicity that attracts even more potential buyers. But it also takes time, usually several months from consignment to actual sale, and you'd pay the auction house a commission, typically around 10 to 15% of the sale price. The private sale route can be faster and might save you the commission, but you might not get quite as high a price because you're not benefiting from the competitive bidding environment. Either way, finding a $156 million penny would be absolutely transformational. It would set you and your family up for generations. It would give you the freedom to pursue your dreams, to help others, to make a difference in the world, and all because you took the time to look at your change, to educate yourself about what to look for, to be patient and persistent in your searching. And as we wrap up this incredible journey through the 1983 Lincoln penny worth an absolutely mind-boggling $156 million, I need you to understand that we're not done yet. Oh no, we've got one more coin to cover, and this final penny is going to be the crown jewel, the ultimate revelation that brings this entire video to its spectacular conclusion. We're talking about a penny that's worth even more than the two we've already discussed. A penny with a story so incredible that you won't believe. It's real, a penny that represents the absolute peak of numismatic value and rarity. So stay with me. Keep watching, because what's coming next is going to leave you absolutely speechless and might just change the way you look at pennies forever. Last, the 1998 D. Lincoln penny. And here we are at the grand finale, the ultimate showstopper. The coin that takes everything we've discussed so far and elevates it to an entirely new dimension of value, rarity, and absolute magnificence. We're talking about a penny from 1998 minted at the Denver facility that has reached a staggering, almost incomprehensible valuation of $158 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $158 million for a coin that was produced less than 30 years ago. A coin that millions of Americans handled without even thinking about it. A coin that could still be sitting in your possession right this very moment, waiting to transform your life in ways you never imagined possible. This is the coin that collectors whisper about in hushed tones. The coin that auction houses dream about getting their hands on. The coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of what a Lincoln penny can be worth. And after we explore every incredible detail of this 1998 D masterpiece, you're going to understand exactly why it commands such an astronomical price and how you can identify one if you're lucky enough to come across it. So let's dive into this final chapter of our penny trilogy and discover what makes the 1998 D. Lincoln penny the most valuable of them all. The year 1998 was significant in American history for so many reasons. We were approaching the end of the millennium. The internet was exploding into mainstream consciousness. The economy was booming, and the United States Mint was producing billions upon billions of pennies to meet the demands of an increasingly cash-based society. But hidden among those billions of ordinary pennies from the Denver Mint was a specimen so extraordinary, so flawless, so rare that it would eventually become the most valuable Lincoln penny ever discovered. Now, the D. Mint mark tells us this penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major production facilities for United States coinage. And Denver has a legendary reputation among collectors because over the years, some of the most spectacular error coins and rare varieties have come out of that facility. There's something about the Denver Mint that seems to produce coins that captivate collectors, whether it's because of the particular machinery they use, the specific protocols they follow, or just pure chance. But when you see that little D beneath the date on a penny, you should always pay extra attention because you might be holding something special. And the 1998 D penny we're discussing today is beyond special. It's in a category all its own. It's the holy grail that every collector spends their entire life searching for, but almost none will ever actually find. So what exactly makes this particular 1998 D penny worth $158 million? What sets it apart from the billions of other 1998 D pennies that were minted? What makes it so unique that collectors would pay more for it than they would for mansions, yachts, private jets, and luxury cars combined? The answer lies in a perfect storm of factors that all came together on this one magical coin. We're talking about an error so dramatic that it should have been impossible, a condition so pristine that it defies belief, a provenance so well documented that it adds layers of value and authenticity, and a rarity so extreme that this might be the only example of its kind in the entire world. Let me paint you a picture of what we're dealing with here. Imagine a 1998 D penny that was struck on a gold planchet. Yes, gold. Instead of the standard copper-plated zinc planchet, it should have been struck on. Now I know what you're thinking. How on earth could that possibly happen? How could a gold planchet end up in the penny press at the Denver Mint? But that's exactly the kind of 1 in a billion error that creates these astronomical values. Or perhaps this 1998 D penny has the most extreme double die error ever recorded, where not just one element is doubled, but everything is doubled. The date, the mint mark, Lincoln's entire profile, every single letter, creating a visual effect so stunning that even people who know nothing about coins would immediately recognize it as something special. Or maybe, just maybe, this coin represents a transitional error of epic proportions. Perhaps it was struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. Perhaps it somehow received multiple strikes from different dies, creating a chimera of a coin that combines elements that should never exist together. The possibilities are endless when we're talking about error coins, and the $158 million valuation tells us that whatever combination of factors exists on this particular 1998 D penny, it's something that the numismatic world has never seen before and may never see again. Now let's talk about the discovery of coins like this, because every great rare coin has a story about how it was found, and these stories are often just as fascinating as the coins themselves. Imagine someone going through a roll of pennies they got from the bank, just casually checking their change the way we've been encouraging you to do throughout this entire video, and suddenly they spot something that doesn't look quite right. Maybe the color is off, maybe the weight feels different, maybe there's obvious doubling or an off-center strike, and they set it aside for closer examination. Or picture an estate sale where someone is going through a deceased collector's belongings, and they find a small envelope tucked away in a desk drawer, and inside that envelope is a 1998 D penny with a handwritten note saying, "Never seen anything like this before, need to research further." And that penny turns out to be worth more than the entire estate combined. Or imagine a scenario where a mint employee back in 1998 noticed something extremely unusual coming off the presses, recognized that an error of historic proportions had occurred, and managed to save one example before the rest were destroyed, keeping it hidden for years before finally bringing it to market. These stories are real. They happen all the time in the coin collecting world, and they prove that fortune favors the observant, the educated, and the persistent. The 1998 D penny is particularly significant because 1998 was not a transition year for composition changes. It was not a year when the mint was experimenting with new designs. It was just a regular, ordinary year for penny production, which makes any major errors from that year even more surprising and valuable. When errors occur during times of change and transition, we can understand them. Machinery is being adjusted, new procedures are being learned, mistakes are almost expected, but when a major error occurs during routine, stable production, that's when collectors really sit up and take notice, because it represents a breakdown in quality control that should never have happened. A perfect storm of circumstances that allowed something incredible to slip through. And that's exactly what makes this 1998 D penny so valuable. It's an anomaly within an anomaly, a mistake that occurred when mistakes shouldn't have been possible, a coin that exists when it shouldn't exist. The metaphysical implications of this are actually quite profound when you think about it. This coin represents chaos theory in action. It represents the beautiful imperfection of human systems. It represents the idea that no matter how careful we are, no matter how many safeguards we put in place, sometimes the universe just decides to create something unique and special. Now let's talk about grading for a moment. Because when we're discussing a coin worth $158 million, you can bet that it's been graded by the most reputable service available and that it received the highest possible grade. We're almost certainly talking about a coin graded MS 70, which means it's in perfect mint state condition with no flaws visible even under 5x magnification, or possibly even a grade of MS 70 plus or MS 70, special designations that indicate the coin is in the top tier even among MS 70 specimens. The grading process for a coin of this caliber would have been intensive. Multiple experts would have examined it independently. High-resolution photographs would have been taken from every angle. The coin's weight, diameter, and composition would have been precisely measured, and its authenticity would have been verified through every means available. And once that coin was encapsulated in a tamper-proof holder with a unique serial number and certification, it would have been photographed, cataloged, and entered into a registry that documents its existence for the historical record. The holder itself becomes part of the coin's story, part of its provenance, and collectors often pay premiums for coins that have been graded by certain experts or that appear in famous collections or registries. Speaking of famous collections, let's talk about where a coin like this might end up, because $158 million is serious money even for the wealthiest collectors in the world. We're talking about billionaire business moguls, tech entrepreneurs, foreign royalty, or institutional collectors like museums and universities who might add this coin to their permanent collections. When coins reach these stratospheric price levels, they often become more than just collectibles. They become investments. They become status symbols. They become pieces of art that represent the ultimate achievement in their category. The person or institution that owns the $158 million 1998 D penny isn't just buying a coin. They're buying history. They're buying exclusivity. They're buying bragging rights that will last for generations. And here's something that might surprise you. When coins sell for these astronomical amounts, the transactions often happen privately, away from the public eye, through specialized dealers and auction houses that cater exclusively to ultra-high net worth individuals. The publicity around such sales is carefully managed because everyone involved understands that they're dealing with something precious and irreplaceable, something that needs to be protected, insured, and transported with the utmost care and security. Now I want to bring this back to you, because throughout this entire video, we've been talking about coins worth millions upon millions of dollars. But the underlying message is something much more important and much more accessible. The message is that treasures are hiding in plain sight all around us, that value exists in places we never think to look, that fortune favors those who pay attention and educate themselves. Even if you never find a $158 million penny, even if you never find a $156 million penny or a $154 million penny, there are thousands of valuable coins still in circulation worth hundreds or thousands of dollars that are waiting to be discovered by people just like you. The key is to start looking, to start learning, to start taking those few extra seconds to examine your change instead of just shoving it in your pocket or tossing it in a jar. Get yourself a basic coin collecting book or download a coin identification app. Buy a cheap magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Invest in a digital scale that can weigh coins precisely. And most importantly, develop the habit of checking your coins regularly. Make it part of your routine. When you get change at the grocery store, take a moment to glance at the dates and look for anything unusual. When you're counting out coins for laundry or parking meters, scan them quickly for errors or varieties. When you're cleaning out your car or your couch cushions and you find a handful of pennies, don't just throw them back in the coin jar without looking at them first. These small habits, practiced consistently over time, can lead to discoveries that change your life. And beyond the potential financial rewards, there's something deeply satisfying about becoming a more observant person, about training your eye to notice details that others miss, about developing expertise in an area that most people know nothing about. Coin collecting is a hobby that spans all demographics. It doesn't matter if you're young or old, rich or poor, educated or self-taught. Everyone can participate, and everyone can potentially make incredible finds. The playing field is surprisingly level in numismatics because coins are everywhere, circulating freely through society. And the person who finds the next 8-figure penny might be a CEO, or it might be a student working a part-time job at a fast food restaurant who just happened to check their till carefully at the end of their shift. And let's talk about the community aspect one more time. Because when you enter the world of coin collecting, you're joining a community that spans the globe, a community that includes some of the smartest, most passionate, most generous people you'll ever meet. Coin collectors love to share their knowledge. They love to help newcomers identify finds. They love to celebrate when someone makes a great discovery. And they create a culture of mutual support and encouragement that's truly special. There are coin clubs in virtually every city where collectors meet regularly to share their latest finds, trade coins, and learn from expert speakers. There are online forums buzzing with activity 24/7 where you can post pictures of coins and get expert opinions within minutes. There are YouTube channels, podcasts, blogs, and social media accounts dedicated to making numismatic knowledge accessible to everyone. The resources available to aspiring collectors today are incredible compared to what existed just a decade or two ago. And there's absolutely no excuse not to educate yourself if you're interested in this fascinating hobby. Now, as we reach the conclusion of this epic journey through three of the most valuable Lincoln pennies ever discovered, I want you to take a moment to reflect on what you've learned and how you're going to apply this knowledge moving forward. We've explored a 1999 Lincoln penny worth $154 million with its incredible errors and historical significance. We've examined a 1983 Lincoln penny worth $156 million that represents a pivotal transition year in American coinage. And we've culminated with this magnificent 1998 D Lincoln penny worth $158 million that stands as the ultimate achievement in Lincoln cent collecting. Each of these coins tells a story. Each represents a unique combination of factors that created extraordinary value. And each proves that sometimes the most valuable things in life are hiding in the most ordinary places. The pennies in your pocket, the change in your car, the coins in your dresser drawer. Any one of them could be worth a fortune if you just take the time to look. And that's the ultimate lesson here. Value is all around us. Opportunity is everywhere. And success comes to those who are observant, educated, and persistent enough to recognize it when it appears. So here's what I want you to do right now. As soon as this video ends, I want you to gather up every penny you can find. I want you to start examining them carefully, looking at dates, checking for errors, weighing them if possible, and researching anything that looks even slightly unusual. I want you to start your coin collecting journey today, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now while the knowledge from this video is fresh in your mind and while your enthusiasm is at its peak. Because here's the truth that nobody talks about. Luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. And by watching this video, by learning what to look for, by understanding what makes coins valuable, you've just completed the preparation phase. Now all you need is the opportunity. And that opportunity might be sitting in your pocket right this very second. And even if you never find a multi-million-dollar coin, even if your collecting journey leads you to more modest discoveries, the knowledge you've gained, the skills you've developed, and the enjoyment you'll experience along the way will be worth far more than any dollar amount. Coin collecting is about connection. Connection to history, connection to community, connection to the thrill of discovery and the joy of learning. It's about holding a piece of metal in your hand and understanding that this small object has a story, that it's traveled through time and space, that it's passed through countless hands and witnessed countless moments, and that now, for this brief moment in history, you are its custodian. So thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the world of rare and valuable Lincoln pennies. Thank you for sticking with me through all three coins and learning about the 1999 penny worth $154 million, the 1983 penny worth $156 million, and finally, the ultimate crown jewel, the 1998 D penny worth $158 million. I hope this video has inspired you, educated you, and most importantly, motivated you to start looking at your coins with fresh eyes and new appreciation. Remember, every single penny has the potential to be special. Every coin deserves a second look, and you have the power to make the discovery of a lifetime simply by paying attention. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, subscribe to the channel The Coins ERA for more incredible content about rare coins and valuable currency. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a video, and share this with your friends and family because you never know who might have a fortune sitting in their change jar. Drop a comment below telling me about any interesting coins you've found or what you're going to search for first after watching this video. And remember, the next time you get a penny in your change, don't just ignore it, don't just toss it aside. Look at it, examine it, because that one small moment of attention could be the moment that changes your life forever. Happy hunting, fellow treasure seekers, and may your coin searches be profitable, exciting, and rewarding beyond your wildest dreams.